All right. Any questions that you have or any intentions that you care to share at this time? You can use the chat or unmute. All right. Well, I'm excited because I just participated in something very similar to what we're going to be doing today as part of one of my book study sessions. So I'm excited to share that with all of you today. So let's jump into it. Today we are our mentor development time is going to be spent talking about listening. This is something that I need to continue to work on because I have the gift of gab. I can't help it, people. But I'm working on that. So hopefully you'll find this valuable for you as well. We're going to go through a couple of different activities to focus on our listening. So we're going to start by building some knowledge around the different types of listening first. So right now, take a moment to look through the chart. And as you're looking through this chart and these different scenarios, think about what do you notice about these different types of listening when comparing each of these what I hear scenarios. So take a couple minutes to read through this and then think about that question there at the top of the screen. Okay, so what are you noticing? Like, let's just look at the first one. What do you notice about the first one? You can just unmute or drop it in the chat. Yeah, Tiffany, it definitely is true. It can be true, right? That's what we're like, oh my gosh, help me, someone help me. All right, Skipper, what did you want to add?
I think I noticed, I don't know if this is the right track, but kind of like reading between the lines and not only listening for what they're saying, but what they're not saying, maybe paying attention to body language, and also being able to kind of like, when you hear those things, relate back to like where you were at that point in your teen life. And, I think that kind of helps to pay attention to the things that they're not saying.
Yeah, it definitely does. It does. Like, what else are they not saying? So if you are the dean of this new teacher and you're asking yourself these questions, like this now has become about you, right? Like this is about you. Because you're like, how am I going to help? What am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? Like, no, I can't have another new person. I'm already on the struggle bus, right? Trying to make it all fit in. So as we think about like the second one, the interaction with that parent was rough. I may have lost my cool a bit. Okay, so this teacher isn't making eye contact. She seems distracted. What else? Like, what kind of like listening? What do you notice about this listening?
I think when it says like, I wonder what else she isn't saying is a huge piece, because what does like lost your cool look like to the teacher? I mean, to the mentee versus what is it in real life? Like what can we be missing here, or how did we get to that point of you losing your cool?
Right. And like, what does lost my cool mean is so important, because did you say something you're not supposed to be saying?
Right.
Did
Am I
you
gonna have to deal with like
relations? Exactly. Like what's coming next, right? What's coming next? And with the last one, the person has said, it's been a hard day. I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing. Then the person, which unfortunately, our mentees are not always with us in the building. In some cases they are, but now we've got lavender going. The lights are off. It's very kumbaya. Probably turned on some soft listening tunes, some piano music there. What do you notice about that listening?
I think just, reading what the mentor is thinking about. Sounds like they obviously, he knows his mentor, like he knows the dean pretty well, like able to see, like pick up on things that like the lavender, and pick up on the expression, and know that that he's off. And so he's able to read the body language pretty good of that person, knows him pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're looking now at like more of the like surrounding things, right? Like what's going on in the environment and automatically saying, I wonder if he's okay, right? So that's a different level of listening there too. So the first one is really about us, and the second one is what's not being said, and the third one is like taking it even deeper. So let's dig into these a little bit more. So the research today is based off of the coactive coaching model, and I do have like some reading for you that I did not give it to you ahead of time, but I think this will do it justice. If you're interested in learning more, I can definitely share that resource with you. But this comes from the book called Coactive Coaching, the Proven Framework for Transformative Conversations at Work and in Life. And in this book, there are 3 defined levels of listening, and we're just going to take a quick peek at each of them today. So I want you to first spend some time like thinking about how, like, as we get into each of these levels of listening, is this description of listening similar to or different from the ways that you've thought about listening in the past? So are you ready? We're going to jump in to level 1. Level 1 is focused on yourself, where you're driving your own agenda. So you're listening to the other person, but you're focused on the problem and you have an opinion and you also have a solution that you want to propose. Here, you're listening to how the problem affects you. You're waiting for your turn to talk, and you may be giving advice here as well. Level 1 listening has all of these pieces here. It definitely has a place, like when it's time for level 1. You listen at a level 1 when you are at a restaurant, you're at a doctor's office, or even when you're being coached. Can you think of another example of a place or situation where you might listen at a level 1 other than the examples that I shared?
I think when you're coaching a really inexperienced teacher who is completely drowning, you would probably use a level 1 more frequently.
Yeah, I could see that.
I feel like Emily in parenting. I probably use this level.
Yeah, that's a good example, right?
I had a strong idea of the proposed solution.
Right? Oh, that's so good, right? And we are not patient. Just do what I'm telling you to do. Okay. Yeah, that's a good example as well. All right. Any other ideas before we move into level 2? All right, let's see what level 2 is all about. So the next level of listening is a level 2. In this listening phase, you're focused on the other person and what the other person is saying, how they're saying it, and as we identified, what is not being said. At this level of listening, you're listening for their words, their expressions, their emotions, and everything that this person is bringing to the conversation. So just like we saw that one, like, I lost my cool. What do you mean I lost my cool? Like, what else are you not telling me here? And in level 3 listening, we listen with everything we can, observe with our senses. So what you see, hear, smell, and feel. You are aware of the energy and you can feel the tone. So in summary, level 1 is listening to understand. And what does this mean for me? In level 2, you have a sharp focus on the other person. What are they saying? How are they saying it? And in level 3, it includes everything that you can observe with your senses. So as you take a look at this visual, we kind of have the levels off to the left here, level 1, and then level 2 and 3. What comes up for you? So feel free to unmute and just share what comes up for you as you're looking at this image.
I think when I look at the image, level 2 and 3, just makes me think about great leadership, and being open-minded and relatable, to be able to display some of these things that's listed under level 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, similar. It's very relational, right? Like level 2 and level 3, you have that relational sense, and being able to use that to see the bigger picture.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, I was gonna say like relational, or you're kind of levels 2 and 3, you're kind of experiencing these things instead of level 1. You just are kind of looking for a solution or how to fix what's going on for your benefit. Where 2 and 3, you're experiencing this with the other person.
Yeah.
I think for me too, when I look at these levels, I think about just myself and the different times I go into these levels, and how level 1 is when you are overwhelmed yourself.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get on to the next thing, right? Like maybe it's passing in the hall or something, and you're just like, okay, how does this impact me? I want to respond so I can move on. So I feel like level 2 and 3 is slowing down and taking the time and really thinking, where the level 1 is like you're reacting. You're like, okay, let's just do this.
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany, I was actually thinking that something like maturity for ourselves as leaders, because I think it takes that to be able to slow down and not make things about you, which is level 1. But it's just being aware of like where we need to be mentally so that we're able to exemplify level 2 and 3 in our work every day.
Yeah. Aaron, were you going to add something? I saw you unmute for a moment.
I was just going to say, I love this image because I feel like to really get any real change or anything, you have to get down into the roots of it, right? And otherwise, if you just keep coming back to how does this impact me, how should I respond, it's that short term, you're not really going to see any change in a relationship or in action.
Yeah, I love that. Getting to the root of what's really going on, right? That's great. Great ideas, you guys. Thank you for sharing. So let's take a moment to practice our own listening. You ready? And then hopefully I can play this correctly. All right. So the dean just observed a teacher yelling at his students about not turning in homework. They're now debriefing the observation. Pretend you are the dean of the teacher as you listen to the audio. And as you listen, what thoughts and feelings do you have? I'm actually going to be playing this clip 2 times. So the first time I play it, I want you to aim to listen at the audio, listening to the audio at a level 2 or 3. Okay. So let me see if this is going to work. Let's see if you can hear it. Oh, and of course, now it's saying I'm having a problem with my file. All right.
So do you want to tell me about what was going on?
It's, you've been going through this the whole year. It's March, and
Can you hear it?
I have a homework with heart rate, and I've tried everything. I've made the homework easier. It's not about learning; it's about practice. Trying to build their academic habits, and I feel like I've taken all the advice that everyone has given me, and I still get the same homework return rate. I don't know what else there is to try. I mean, I feel like I've gone through this year, and there's been a lot of blame on me from the administration, but it's the kids just aren't doing the homework. You saw the homework. I mean, there's an opinion question and 5 multiplication questions. Why am I giving homework? And am I doing the wrong thing by not giving them homework? I've gotten that pushback before.
Yeah,
So I'm just sure. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I feel hopeless. On another side of that, I feel blamed. I feel like there's so much work around the teachers, and I've crafted my assignments. I've like I said, I've tried it, you know, Jones' way, Guzman's way, and I don't know what else there is without my, you know, what do I need to do next? Go from student home to student home and make sure they do their homework?
Okay, I should not be laughing a little bit, but go from student home to student home. All right. So let's apply what we just learned about the levels of listening and analyze the audio clip that you just heard. So Patton has dropped in the chat the expansive listening reflection tool. So go ahead and open that up. We know that we want to aim for level 2 and level 3 listening when we're coaching and when we're mentoring. And you might find yourself listening at level 1 sometimes, and that's okay. The purpose of this activity is not evaluation, it's diagnosis. Whatever you learn about yourself is neither good nor it's not wrong or bad. So you'll likely have some habits that serve you well and some habits that you'd like to change. So this activity will help us figure out what to keep and what to change. So I want you to take 4 minutes to use this reflection tool that Patton has dropped in the chat for us. So go ahead and just reflect on your listening from what you just heard, that you just completed. Consider, what do you notice about your listening? And maybe how do you want to grow in your listening skills? So we'll be in breakout rooms for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and discuss this whole group. Hi, welcome back. All right, welcome back, everybody. All right, so who would like to share about their listening or what your group kind of talked about when it came to listening?
We just talked about for one, this was very relatable for us. Seeing the bigger picture, we realized the more that he talked, the more we know that this is not about homework. It's very, it's much bigger than that. So just kind of connecting what we felt a lot of, if we, did we zone out at any time, because we knew where he was going with this, and what his overall needs were. It's not about you could tell that he's probably had coaching that he didn't agree with or things like that. And so now everything is turning into this issue about homework, and that's not the case.
Right. Did any of you feel let me just put a Band-Aid on this one thing just to get him stop talking, so we could move on? Did you find yourselves going a little bit to that level 1 listening? Oh my gosh, Ashley just said, that zoning out because it was just not stopping. But unfortunately, that is our reality some days, right? Yeah. So anybody else want to add anything about listening? Okay. All right. So a couple of things that I just want to point out. It's very great. We're okay, I'm going to listen at level 2 or 3, but it's a little bit challenging, right? We have to kind of prepare ourselves. And the good thing is that you can prepare yourself for when you're about to do, when you're about to have this level 2 or level 3 listening. For example, when I come to these meetings or when I'm meeting with people, unless I have back-to-back things, I like to be on a little bit early to make sure okay, I'm not rushing. I can be fully present. I can hear everything that everybody's going to say, right? So listening and being open to that listening is a skill that you can grow. So you can continue to grow in your skill of listening through intentional practice and reflection. And so now we're going to listen one more time, but we're going to look at another tool that provides us with different and often more productive ways of listening at levels 2 and 3. So take some time to read each way of listening and choose one lens that you'll listen through the second time around that will help you listen at a level 2 or 3. So let me see. I need to drop that in the chat. Patton, I don't know if you're still with us or not. So let me grab that. Oh, never mind. I heard the beat. Okay. So there's the pages. So let me see. Let me click on it. Yep, that's it. Thank you. All right, so go ahead and take a couple minutes to look through that. And then after 2 minutes, we'll come back and listen to the audio clip again. Okay, hopefully everybody has picked a way that you're going to try to use to listen as we listen to this audio again. And as you listen, just through that new lens that you've selected, what thoughts and feelings do you hear?
So do you want to tell me about what was going on?
Well, it's, we've been going through this the whole year. It's March, and you heard me. I had about 20% homework return rate, and I've tried everything. I've made the homework easier. It's not about learning. It's about practice. Trying to build their academic habits. And I feel like I've taken all the advice that everyone has given me, and I still get the same homework return rate. I don't know what else there is to try. I mean, I feel like I've gone through this year, and there's been a lot of blame on me from the administration, but it's, the kids just aren't doing the homework. You saw the homework. I mean, there's an opinion question and 5 multiplication questions. Why am I giving homework? And am I doing the wrong thing by not giving them homework? I've got that pushback before.
Yeah,
So I'm just, it's upsetting. Sure, I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I feel hopeless. On another side of that, I feel blamed. I feel like there's so much work around the teachers, and I've crafted my assignments. Like I said, I've tried it, Jones' way, Guzman's way, and I don't know what else there is without my, what do I need to do next? Go from student home to student home and make sure they do their homework?
All right. So now with your new lens, I would like you to just take a moment here to reflect on this. Like, how did it feel to listen through a specific lens? What thoughts or feelings came up that were different from the first time? Did the listening lens change how you might respond to the teacher? And what connections can you make to these ways of listening in your role as a mentor? So just take a moment to think for yourself, and then we'll hear from a couple of people about their thoughts as we explore this expansive listening tool. And if you have something that you'd like to share, you can go ahead and unmute and share. You don't have to answer all the questions, but just whichever one you feel kind of goes along with what you were thinking.
I think it's important to remembering to go from this perspective. I think starting with it versus sometimes you walk into an 03 and you don't expect that emotional vomit.
Right.
And so you're not prepared to listen through that lens. So I think the second time going through it, I was a lot more prepared to listen. And so I tried to go from the first one for the big picture. And I think I just heard more things. So if I would have done gut reaction, it would have been either coaching on homework in some sort of way, X, Y, or Z. But I think by looking at it through the big picture, I think I'd have a lot more questions about, he obviously doesn't feel successful, but then he also feels blamed. So I think that helped me hear that more clear the second time.
Yeah. So I want to piggyback off Tyler, because that's exactly what I did. I kept the handout up. So as I was listening, I started to write down some of the verbiage that he used. I wrote upsetting, hopeless, blamed. And so I just attached that to pain. So I think it kind of gave me a clear direction. I can see how we can use this in O3s. It gives you a clear direction of like next steps of coaching that teacher through that, because you're not just talking about homework. Now we're going to really the root of the problem, which goes back to the tree. I also wrote down for the big picture. So I just kind of bucketed some of the things that he was saying into two of those categories. So I would know how to proceed.
Yeah. Anyone else making those same connections, or did someone choose something different than pain or big picture, or the same? Big picture.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
I listened for possibility, which was kind of fun, just in the sense of like hearing all of that emotion and how he feels about it, that once he's able to get on the right track, like has so much passion and emotion that like there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah. I like that thinking too, right? And if we hadn't thought about this lens, we'd be thinking about, oh gosh, how can I get this person out of my office, or how can I fix this, right? Versus looking for like, what are the possibilities? What are the opportunities that exist? Well, thank you for using that tool and going through that development portion with me. We're now going to get into collaboration and prepare for our upcoming meeting. But before we do, I just wanted to provide you with a couple of reminders. The first is that you have the Google Classroom. I know some of you are using it a little bit more than others, but remember that's a landing space, an area where you can share resources with your team. So you don't have to send a bunch of emails. It can just all go in there and it can be kept there. And if you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you drop things in there. If you need just a little session, let me know. The second reminder is about attendance. Please make sure that you are taking attendance. I know you should be getting a report with who's been attending your sessions, but that is in our main folder. So please go back if you have not been taking attendance and put the attendance in. At the end of the school year, for both you and for your mentees, you'll be able to earn sketches or the CEU credits for your time. So you get credit for your time with me. They get credit for their time with you. And then finally, don't forget to launch that survey. So I do have the latest survey results and it looks good. Again, you all are killing it. Like, it really just makes me like the warm fuzzies. That's me. You know, I'm already cheesy as it is, but when I see that stuff, I absolutely love it. So I'll be getting that out to you within the next couple days. So this session, we're only preparing for one meeting. It's your December 7th meeting. So thankfully, you'll have some time to do that in just a moment. So in your Google Drive, again, you're going to go to your folder, and hopefully I have it correct this time around. You should be able to edit everything in there. So you'll see the one presentation for December should be in there. And then we're going to place you in some breakout rooms so that you can work on those particular areas. So as you're in there, let me just double check. So yeah, your December is in there. And I'll pop back and forth. But as a reminder, on the first slide, anything that's highlighted in yellow are the areas that you'll need to make adjustments to. Are there any other questions before you go into breakout rooms to work on your presentations in the next session? Okay, I'll be popping in both of the rooms in case you do have any questions. So Patton's gonna launch you into those for about 10 minutes. Did you have any questions, needs, or ideas that you wanted to share out with the group? Anybody? Alrighty.
So I kind of brought this up to, I guess, my frustration about two of my people. So not the majority, the minority. Do you guys have any suggestions for people who you get when you're using your listening with the big picture, that they just don't think that they need any help? Like, do you have any suggestions for those? Like they know it all. Not that they're being a know-it-all, but that it's like they could be in way better places. Like I have like the core group of them are super interactive. And then there's just like one or two that is just like, there's nothing that you need help with. Cause I know when I was a new dean, I needed all the help I could get. So yeah, any thoughts or opinions on that?
I guess the only thing I go back to is that, you know, maybe they are getting more than what you think they're getting. Like, even though they're not being vocal, if they need the help, it doesn't mean that they're not standing by, like grabbing everything that you're giving out and listening to other people. Maybe they just, you know, because you can't really force anyone to be kind of open with stuff like that. Or how do you connect with them outside of the group setting? Maybe they're just not comfortable, and I don't know. But they might be getting a lot more than you think.
That's a good point. Maybe I'll just like message them separate.
I like that suggestion as well, just because if you message them separately, then you can say, hey, I noticed that when we're sharing out, you're kind of quiet. Just wanted to check in and make sure that everything's okay and see if that makes a difference as well. But they probably are getting more than what they're letting on to as well.
And I think the one-on-one, maybe having some like, I guess some pre-planned questions that may kind of pull some things out of them. Because I mean, there's things they're pretty sure they're doing great at, but like, what are some things you can improve on? You know, some questions that may kind of guide you to some things that you can support them in.
Right. Again, this is very weird. What's going on with my screen? So I can't see anybody. So hopefully I'm not talking over anybody else right now. But so our upcoming events and topics. So you all have a cohort meeting, obviously on the 7th. So don't forget to send those reminder emails. Those are really helpful. And then we'll meet again on January 30th for our mentor development meeting to plan out our next couple of meetings. And again, if you need any support with anything, do not hesitate to reach out. If you're looking for resources, I'm available. And so our launch today is you cannot truly listen to anyone and do anything else at the same time. And that's from M. Scott Peck. So thank you again for being here today. I really appreciate you and all that you're offering to our new dean. So have a great week and have a great holiday break.